of many hyperlocal blogs. And this will be as successful as often as she can write about each one of these. If she's got one on here that she only writes about once a year, she's not going to be doing herself a whole lot of favors, with producing information that people want to see. But she's writing just right now on each one of these neighborhoods about as often as I'm writing about McClellanville. So I think she's doing a pretty good job here. But also, if we just take a look at her content, she's adding a lot of value here. She's telling me a whole bunch of content and things that I want to know. Moco Real Estate. This is by far one of the most what's the word that I'm looking for? Perfectionist realtors that we have as clients, and I thought that I was a perfectionist till I saw this guy work, but he is a perfectionist, and it's a great thing because he doesn't settle for anything less. And so when I come to his site, he's constantly monitoring things and trying to reorganize the layout and make it as few clicks as possible for people to get to what they really, really need. And that's, it's all about organization on his site. Each one of these little cities on the map I can click on, and I'll be taken to a place on his website where it's just specifically related to information about this. He doesn't talk a whole lot about news and events outside of real estate. So from a hyperlocal blogging perspective, he's not one of these guys who you're going to find out about rummage sales and things like that. But he does do an excellent job talking about the schools in his community, talking about the home prices in his community, creating creating resources about short-saled and bank-owned properties, foreclosed properties, and he's always creating lists and resources and things like that, which are going to take you to places like that. I'm just reading a question here. Okay, so RJ asked a great question. Are we penalized by swiping a copy about an event from another site and publishing it on your blog? I actually have a class tomorrow, and it's called Investigating Content. And I just talk about how to write a lot of the type of posts that I'm talking about here, how to write an event post, how to write a market update post. And one of the things I do talk about events, and I specifically say that you want to reword things. You're not penalized in the sense that that your site is going to lose things, but it's not. There's a possibility that it's not going to gain anything. Okay, it's called the duplicate content penalty. There's also, although with an event, just sort of copying the basic facts about it, I can't imagine anyone and you sharing an event with other people, I can't imagine you're risking a whole lot of plagiarism issues. But yeah, rewording it is going to help you rank better in the end. And so yeah, definitely check out that class tomorrow. It's called Investigating Content. It's really all about the writing, and I'm getting, most of these classes I sort of plan myself and I put them all together. I've gotten a lot of help from Jim Cronin, who I really, really respect as a writer. And as somebody who really studies real estate blogging as well, I've gotten a lot of help from him on putting together some poignant facts on how to write this type of post, how to write that type of post. St. Paul Real Estate. This is one I love to point out to people because let's see if she has it on here. She's been blogging since 2005, I believe. Here you go, November 2005. So she's been blogging a little over 5 years now. And she's written a post a day average. How does she do it? Everybody always asks, how do you do it? How do you do it? She does the exact same way you would expect her to do it. She wakes up in the morning and she writes this post. There's no magic trick to consistency, but she does it the same way that you and I pour a cup of coffee, But that's what people love about her is her consistency, and she's made a big name for herself on a national basis because she's been doing it for longer than a lot of people, and she sort of was one of the pioneers of blogging. But she's also really well known for her photography. And so if you want to look at if you're sort of a shutterbug and you want to work photography into your blog, consider how consider looking at checking out her blog. These are all her own pictures. If you see T Boardman down here, these are Teresa's pictures. Um, that one's probably not. This one's not. She uses other people's pictures, but here's a great local picture that really shows me it without me even reading word number one. I know that she's out there walking around in her community. It might have been between listings. She's a busy woman, but it shows me her commitment to her community, and she's just a big shutterbug, and I like that about her as well. RJ just sort of puts out there that copywriting is so time consuming, it's almost a full-time job. It absolutely is. Blogging can become an almost full-time job, but when I look at it, I look at all of the things that it replaces that I don't ever have to do again. And it's basically, I just consider it trading my time for all of my money. Because you look at some of these real estate agents out there who are making over $100,000, and then you ask them how much they're spending to make that 100,000, and they tell you they're spending 50,000. Then they're making the same as a lot of bloggers who might be spending a couple thousand on hosting and some minor advertising fees and things like that, signage, some minor costs, but their main expense is their time, and that's where the trade-off on blogging is. And so you're trading, a lot of time, and some bloggers spend 2-3 hours a day, but hopefully the rest of the day they're spending on the things that pay the bills, like writing contracts, writing listing agreements, and going to closings and things like that. So yes, it can be time intensive. I've pulled back away from my blog as the market has slowed down a little bit, and as I've gotten a steady income, and that's clear when you go look at my blog and you see fewer postings and things like that. But my blog has gotten to a point now where I was able to do that. I wouldn't have done that if my blog wasn't already ranking number 1 or number 2 for every keyword which I want to rank for. So I've done my hard work in the beginning, and I've built up a place in my niche, and then I've been able to pull back a little bit. So for some people, depending on your niche, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel where you don't have to write over and over and over again. But I would say if you build yourself up to be this sort of resource provider, that you may want to continue to provide that resource, because it can be sort of harsh if you pull a rug out from under your audience. Let's see here. This is Miami Select Real Estate, someone who's sort of new to my list, and she writes excellent real estate posts. Let's see if I can find one on here. My top 3 homes for today's Coral Gables open house. Okay, she's got great pictures in here. I don't know if she took them or not, and then she ties them in here to a link for more information on the houses. Okay, I'm going to skip over the Happy New Year house. Looking for room to run? I have the perfect home for you. So she's just sort of speaking to a different audience in these posts. Okay, she's identifying, is this you? Well, this is your home. And that's one way that you can pitch homes. Almost, you're doing it one at a time sales pitch, but it can be really, really good if you've got this audience who knows that they want to live in your community. Okay. Talking about mortgage rates, everyone can do that, so let's skip on down. 3 Coral Gables condos with surprisingly spectacular views. Here she's just approaching it from a different angle. She's talking about the view out of a condo. Okay, and unfortunately she didn't share the view with us. She just shares the view of the place. Miami rated number 3 is sort of a news story. Coconut Grove luxury home reduced by $300,000 under contract within 7 days. She's probably sort of tooting her own horn in this, but she's got a video embedded. She's talking to the audience. She's working on a sales pitch in a personal manner. Okay. Foreclosure price, quick sale. So lots of good information on real estate listings, and blogs are always evolving. I never know what I'm going to get. Like I said, I don't specifically screen these blogs beforehand, because I've done this enough that I know that I'm going to find good content. A lot of people always ask about, how do I get more comments? Real estate blogs aren't supposed to have comments and things like this. This is the one that sort of broke that record for me. This client writes strictly about real estate. She does. She has a great resource where she maps out all of the open houses coming that weekend. But as I scroll down here, let me see. Don't make me a liar here. Okay, 2 comments, no comments. Maybe she's gonna make me a liar. No comments. One comment. Darn. Well, I'll tell you right now that I've come to her blog before and I've seen 30, 40, 80 comments on blog posts in a row. Not just this one post that had a great conversation, but it was literally like a post that had 30 comments, a post that had 10, a post that had 80, a post that had 40 comments. And it's all about finding your audience and speaking to them and opening up to them and asking them, what do you think's a good listing? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And so you can have conversations on blogs. It takes development of that audience and things like that. This was one of my favorite persons to teach a class to because she was a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. Okay, she's quick to point out that it was her team that won the award, not just her, but she's an awesome writer. And that's the one thing that I can't teach when I teach blogging is how to be a great writer. She already had the understanding of how to be a great writer. I just had her show her the tool, how to use the tools in front of her. And so if you want to see good writing on real estate blogs, I would plug in hometochicago.com into your blog right now because she just does an excellent job writing a post on explaining the subject, and they look like newspaper articles. I mean, ideally, you may or may not want to emulate, that style. She came from that background, but just excellent job writing these articles. And it comes, I'm going to use her as an example tomorrow when I talk about how to write a market update, because the biggest thing about writing a market update is not just saying, here's the data. You got to explain it, and she does a great job telling me what does this data mean and things like that. What does it mean to me? Sort of the what's in it for me that we were talking about earlier. So hometochicago.com, one of my favorite blogs to follow. If I haven't already mentioned this yet, I don't follow these blogs on a daily basis, but it's important if you want to hone the number one thing you can do to hone your skills as a blogger is to read other blogs. And all I'm trying to achieve by this sort of discussion here is to share with you a list of blogs that might be appealing to you that you want to. I don't live in a Chicago and I don't live in San Diego or Miami, but I can still learn from these writers and see good techniques and how to do things. And that's free. I mean, it doesn't take me anything to add them to an iGoogle account and to spend a couple of minutes each day checking out how they do things. Let's see. I told you I would share this one to you. This is a blog called duplexchick.com. I would have never thought, even in a major market of Minneapolis, I would have never thought that there was enough content to be said about the idea of duplexes that somebody could write for nearly 3 years about. But she has proven me wrong, and she has written about duplexes. And look, she writes, January 18th, January 17th, January 13th, January 12th, January 10th. Okay, she's writing 2 to 3 posts a week rate. Looking at that, so she's written like 10 posts since the first of the year in a 20-day period. It's really impressive to see somebody understand a niche and attack it from all angles like that, and that's what I appreciate for this. I could care less about duplexes. I like to have my own space and single family attached or detached, but if you are interested in just seeing how to approach a subject that seems tiny at the moment from a lot of different angles, I would go check out Duplex Chick. And this person has actually started to expand their business nationally with what they've done here. So I don't know all the details behind it, but I've just heard things from Jim about how they've really taken over this market by starting with a tiny little niche that some people would say is not even worth bothering with, probably. Let's see. I'm gonna wrap things up here with a blog called myballard.com, and this is a non-real estate blog. Okay, they make their money not by selling homes at the end of the day, but by selling advertising. The thing that's important about this is still a hyperlocal blog, and it's got a lot of features that sort of tie into what RJ was saying about this can be a full-time job. Yeah, it can be a full-time job if you really start to build out resources like they've got. They've got an events calendar, restaurant, all these things that I was talking about are things to sort of aspire to. but maybe you set yourself up as a broker in years to come, and you've got agents working under you, and